strong.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Commander deck profile. Today I'm going to be profiling my Anim Pakal Commander deck profile. Now for those who don't know, Anim Pakal came out in the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It was one of those cards that kind of got forgotten about because everyone was on about dinos and Golter, but for me, I was about the gnome life. So I've been running this deck for about 2 weeks, really enjoying it. It seems really strong, and in the way to play this deck, you effectively create tons of gnomes and use that gnomes for either for any type of sack folder. You can sack them to draw, you can sack them to gain cost mana, you can sack to proliferate. There's a lot of options you can do in this deck, and yeah, I just really like artifact based decks. Like, you know me, I like equipment, I like Urza, so I decided why not Anim Pakal. It seems really cool. For those who don't know what she does, she is a free drop 1/2, and whenever a non-gnome creature you control attacks, you may put a 1/1 counter on Anim Pakal, then create X 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens where X is the number of 1/1 counters on her. So if she has one, well, when she attacked, she gets 1 counter. She then spits out 1 1/1 gnome, and then she has 2 counters, create 2 1/1 gnomes. It goes on and on and on. But yeah, really enjoying how this deck plays, and I actually can't wait to show you guys what I do. Yeah. So obviously we have the commander. You can't play the deck without the commander. So we'll go on to the regular, the white creatures. So we're running Soul Warden because we create tons of gnomes. We're going to gain life every time a gnome comes into play. This card's in here because at the beginning of combat, you can target creature you control and it gets a 1/1 counter. As always, we're going to make sure that Anim Pakal has that 1/1 counter. Benny Brook Zoologist. This card's amazing, and I'm so happy it actually came as a reprint in, I want to say, was the Gold Commander deck? Or was it? No. Yeah, it had to be Gold, right? Oh, I can't remember if it's the Gold or the Sea, the Deep Clue Sea. I can't really remember, but it got reprinted in that, and the card's good. It's got Convoke on it, so you can tap your creatures instead of paying the mana cost. And beginning of each end step, if you create a token this turn, draw a card. So yeah, whenever I create a token during that end phase, draw a card. Aldrich Master Tactician. Now this card's pretty cool. It is a 4-drop 3/4. But when he attacks along with 3 other creatures, you can choose what blocks and how they block. So if I attack with 3 gnomes and Aldrich, I can say that nothing's going to block this turn. My creatures are going to hit you. Like, having that is actually really strong. I do like Aldrich. I plan to use it in a much more decks in the future. Next is the Deepest Foundation, the White God from Ixalan. This one is the triple. So if you create 1 or more tokens instead, you create triple that amount of tokens instead. And as always, just like all the other gods, if it dies, you can just flip it around and it becomes land. And how you flip this card back is pay 3, tap this, transform, as long as you attack the 3 or more creatures. Hopefully the idea is that I have tons of gnomes on board so I can just attack. And yes, I do have a playset of unstable gnomes because these gnomes are amazing. The second to last white card, we have a Moonshaker Cavalier. for a basic, it's the white version of Grey Hoof Behemoth. It is a 8-drop 6/6 with flying, and the equip. And when it enters the battlefield, each creature I control gains flying and +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures I control. Yeah, really good, really good. It's both of these cards have actually dropped in price, so if you guys want to grab them, I highly recommend grabbing them on like Card Market. So for the last mono white card, we have Elish Norn. She's only in there just so my gnomes can get slightly bigger. Because yeah, she's a 4/7 Vigilance. Joe, going for that meal was made me very tired. Yeah, creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponent controls get -2/-2. So it buffs your guys and weakens your opponents. Now we go on to the red cards. We have a Goblin Welder. Tap Goblin Welder and target a artifact you control and an artifact in your graveyard. As long as they're still legal targets, you can sack the one you target to bring back the one from your bin. Yeah, it's a good little gobbo. Good little gobbo. Magic really likes their gobbos. They really like their goblins. Okay, for the last mono white card, mono red card, we have a Loyal Apprentice, a 2/1 2-drop haste with Lieutenant. So if I control my commander, I can create a 1/1 Thopter with haste and flying, which works great because instead of my commander tapped and attacking, I can just spit out a Thopter and the Thopter can attack, and I still get a 1 counter and some gnomes. Now for the multicolored cards, we have Blade Historian. Attacking creature you control have double strike. That's pretty much it. That's all I need the card to do, and it does it well. And the last creature, we have Jaw. A 5-drop 5/4 with first strike. With Mailcraft. So creatures you control gain +3/+0 as long as I have 3 or more artifacts, which in this deck I should definitely have. I should definitely have that many. So yeah, that's really it. Like 11 regular creatures. But now we go on to the artifact creatures, which I run a total of 12 artifact creatures. So as for Sentinel, I don't really have to go into much detail. It's just whenever the opponent casts the first non-creature, I either draw a card unless they pay X, where X is his power. Usually 1, but no one's going to pay 1 every game. Next we have Furry Vector. This card is in here for the +2/+1s and proliferates. We don't deal with any of the charge counters because I have no need for charge counters. But yeah, when he enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target. No, put a 1/1 counter on each of any creatures you control, and a charge counter on each artifact I control. But it's mainly in here because I can pay 1, tap him, sack one of my gnomes, and proliferate. Because again, the gnomes are like small beaters, but usually I sack them for like +1/+1s, proliferate, 2 mana, draw a card, that kind of stuff really. Next we have my Wonder Glyph. So it is a 5-drop 2/2 with Ascend, so if I got 10 or more opponents, I have the Series Blessing. And other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the Series Blessing, which hopefully I should. But this card, we look at this last piece of text, is at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 gnome. So by the time it gets back to my turn, I should have 4 gnomes. That's the plan at least. Okay, now for the last mono white card. We have a Bronze Guardian. Double strike, Ward 2, its power is equal to the number of artifacts I control, and yeah, other artifacts you control have Ward 2. So it could potentially be a 5/5 or a 6/5, depending on how many artifacts you have on the board. And for the last coloured artifact creature, we have Abu, Ancient Witness. So other artifact creatures you control have haste. Whenever one or more whenever one or more other creatures you control attacks, Ancient Witness deals X damage to any target. You scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. So, got a lot of gnomes tapped and attacking. Probably a lot of mana dorks that are tapped. A lot of mana ramp tapped. So should do a lot of damage, and I get to scry a bunch of little cards. And now we get to the colorless artifacts. We have Gingerbrute. Gingerbrute's in here because he has the haste thing. So, well, he's a one drop 1/1 with haste, so I can smack him when he comes out. Which is it's early poke, which is pretty funny. Steel Overseer, like, honestly, one of the best artifact creatures come out in the game so far, because you can tap him, put 1/1 counter on each artifact creature you control, which sets him up, it sets this guy up, it also sets up all my proliferates. So yeah, Steel Overseer, busted card, and I love these getting a reprint in the Fallout deck too. We have Copper Gnomes. I may pay for, sacrifice Copper Gnomes, and put an artifact from my hand onto the battlefield. Cheeky little. I'm gonna put this in play. Wow. Now we have Chief of the Foundry. He just, again, of artifact creatures get +1/+1. He just makes my gnomes bigger. Solemn Simulacrum enters the battlefield. Search your deck for a basic land, put on the battlefield tapped, and when he dies, draw a card. So I could sack him off to proliferate or gain life or mana, basically. And then we have a threefold Thunderhawk, which enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters. Whenever he enters or attacks, create a number 1/1 gnomes that are equal to its power. So when it enters the battlefield, because it's got 3 1/1 counters, he spits out 3 gnomes. Pay 2, sacrifice another artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on threefold Thunderhawk. So again, you can sacrifice the gnomes that came in, because this is a mana ability, it's not a tap ability. So you can sack however gnomes you want to gain more 1/1 counters. And then the last one is just a still Hellkite. This is probably the most generic artifact creature that's in the game right now, because everyone can run this. It's a pretty decent artifact card. You can get rid of like problematic cards on board if you like paid a certain mana value. Okay, now for the basic artifact cards. So, I won like 14, I think. So I'll just get this off. For mana dorks, we have Soaring, pretty basic. Arcane Signet, pretty basic too. As a color, as one color in my commander's card area. Talisman of Conviction, just in case I wanted a colorless or maybe some colored mana. The Counter of Endless War is there for the unlimited hand size. Ashnod's Altar. Now this card is amazing with the gnomes because, as I said, I use the gnomes for sack for mana, and this is my main mana card. Sacrifice a creature, add 2 colors. Yeah. And then because we are working with tons of 1/1 counters, we have the Ozolith. So if a creature would leave the battlefield, if it had counters on it, you move those counters to this card, and at the beginning of combat, you may move those counters to a creature you control. Really strong when your opponents keep trying to kill this commander, because it happens, it does. It's also really good. It isn't a mana bit. You don't have to pay mana or tap it to move them. It's just, I'm just gonna gain a bunch of other counts. Yeah. And then we have a Retrofit Foundry just to gain Cerbos and Thopters, and then for constructs. We have Throne of Geth, which is my tap, sack an artifact, proliferate. And Agatha's Soul Cauldron, so I can put 1/1 counters on my commander or any other creature, but usually it's on my commander. We have the One Ring to for draw power effectively. Unwinding Clock to untap all of my artifacts during each of my opponent's upkeeps. Untap, sorry. Planar Bridge. I thought Planar Bridge was really cool, especially since with all my mana dorks, I should have tons of mana to activate the pay 8 tap, search for permanent, pop it on the battlefield. I think the card's really good. I really like Planar Bridge. And then we have Darksteel Forge. Pretty basic artifacts you control have indestructible. It also counts as self. For the last artifact, we're running Thousand Moon Smithery. At the battlefield, it spits out a white gnome soldier token, which is power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures and the number of artifacts you control. And at the beginning of the pre-combat main phase? Yeah, at the beginning of the pre-combat main phase, you may tap 5 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. If you do, transform a Thousand Moon Smithery. So, from a legendary artifact, if I just tap 5 gnomes, this transforms into a legendary artifact land with taps for white, and whenever that mana is used to cast an artifact card, you create another gnome soldier. So this could get very, very big. Well, it can get my, I can have like so many of these. It's insane. Like, that's it for the basic artifacts. I do have 3 equipments. Like a Skull Clamp for draw power, Swiftfoot Boots for the haste and the hexproof, and a Soul Cleaver for the 1/1 counters, and also gives my commander vigilance. So whenever another artifact or creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, so that's any creature from anyone's battlefields, you put a +1/+1 counter on the equipped creature. So it also means if my tokens go to the bin, I get 1/1 counters. Like, this card's amazing. I really like this a lot. Soul Cleaver, definitely one of my favorite equipments in the past few months. Because you know me, I like my equipments. Now for the instances. Obviously, we're running some exile cards like Swords of Plowshare and Dispatch. And removal, we're using Struck Midnight. For protection, we have a Family Reunion, which creature you control get creature you control get +1/+1 the end turn, or creatures you control gain hexproof till the end turn. You're not going to do the 1/1s with this deck because they're not 1/1 counters; they're just flower 1/1s. But the hexproof is really good. We are running Florus because usually you should have your commander on board because she's only a 3-drop, so hopefully you should have her out by turn 3. But if she does get popped, you can cast this from your hand without paying its mana cost, and it has indestructible. And then a Chroma's Will, just so I can try go for game. So the only time I'm going to cast it is to try and get game. And unbounded potential, sorry. So you may choose one, put a 1/1 counter and up to each of 2 target creatures, or proliferate. Or if you cast the entwine cost, you may choose both. I'm just gonna proliferate, to be honest. That's what I'm gonna do. I think that's all I need to do. So now going on to the mono red cards. Again, we have some draw power with full possibility. And demand answers. So this one discards a card from your hand to draw 2. This one, you either sacrifice an artifact or discard a card to draw 2. Like, this is amazing when I have my commander out, and this is still good to have in my opening hand, because then next turn I know I can draw 2. And then we have a Chaos Warp, just to get rid of anything scary on the board and hope they top deck a land, a sorcery, or an instant. And for the last card, it's for the last instant, it's just a Boar's Charm, just for protection, because no one does the deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. But I will actually do the double strike one when and if needed, pretty much. So that's it for instance. Now we go on to the sorceries. We have Hoping Hand. This card's amazing because I run a lot of like 3-drop guys in the deck. Well, 3 or less. Pulls them back from the bin to the battlefield tapped. So, Loyal Apprentice, the card that says it puts a 1/1 counter on target creature at the beginning of combat. Esper Sentinel, Chief of the Foundry, my Copper Gnome, Steel Overseer, Gingerbrew. The list goes on. Like, yeah, it does come back to the battlefield tapped, but at the end of the day, I'm fine with putting a creature back on my board. We use Cut a Deal. It's the same card I use in Life Pause, the whole your opponent draw a card and you draw a card for each card drawn this way. I think it's a really good card. I like it a lot. We have Johnny's Influence. This is in here because it can put 2 1/1 counters on target creature, and I get to look at the top for the 5 cards. Yeah, 5 cards. I can add a white card from among them to my hand. Yeah. For 4 mana, 2 1/1 counters, and being able to look at top 5 and add a card from among them. That's worth. I'm very happy with that. Last white card is a Brilliant Restoration. Return all creatures, well, return all artifacts or enchantments from the bin to the battlefield. Again, the same card I use in Life Pause. Now for the mono red, we have a gamble to search for a card, and if I do have to discard, and even when I discard, usually it's an artifact I discard, so it's not dead, I can bring it back from the bin. Bender Blast to just destroy all other artifacts I don't like. And for the multicolored card, we have Wake the Past, just to bring back all the artifacts from my bin to the battlefield. Yeah, I run a lot of what's the word? Recursion? Is that the word? I'm able to bring a lot of my cards back from the bin back to the battlefield very well. Okay, and now we get on to the enchantments. So I run about 7 enchantments. So we start off with Attempted Steal, artifact creatures get +2/+2. Smothering Tie for the treasure tokens. Anointed Possession because we're running a token heavy deck. So we want to make sure we maximize the amount of tokens we can make. Virtue of Loyalty, which is at the beginning of the end step. You put a 1/1 counter on each of your creatures and then you untap all your creatures. Yeah, the card's dumb. The card is dumb. I would recommend getting it now before it goes up in price. Okay. For the red, we have Aggravated Assault. You may pay 5, untap all creatures you control. If it's the main phase, there's additional combat phase followed by additional main phase. So 5 mana might seem a lot, but it's worth it because having 2 attacks knowing that you can get this off twice is really good. And then we're running Impact Tremors because we can bring out bunch load of creatures, and same again for War Leader's Cool. The only difference is this gives my creatures +1/+1. They're not 1/1 counters, but it does make all my gnomes 2/2s. And now for my fat stack of lands. As always, I prefer to run 34 lands in most of my decks. So, we have a commander deck, so of course we're running a command tower. And because we're also an artifact, we run Power Deport. It comes in tapped, it taps for colors, or it taps for one of any mana, well, any color, but that can only be spent to cast artifacts or activate their abilities. It also has module 1, so if I cast an artifact creature with it, then an artifact creature gets a +1/+1 on it. A Rust Veil Bridge, artifact land, has indestructible. A Ancient Den, again is an artifact land, and same again for Great Furnace, artifact land. And last but not least, a treasure roll, just in case I want way more treasures. Yeah. So for the kind of regular lands, we want a Sacred Foundry, a Sundown Path, and a Cliptop Retreat. These are lands that can come in untapped if you fulfill something. You take 2 damage, you throw 2 or more lands, and if you got a Plains or Mountain. A Battlefield Forge, so taps for colors, or you could have it tap for any one of the boss colors, and if you do, it deals 0 damage. We're actually running both Hidden Courtyard and Hidden Volcano, which are the Discover lands, because being able to bring something from my deck with mana value 4 or less. 4 or less, yeah, and cast it without paying mana cost. That just seems really good, and I'm happy with it. We're then running Relinquity Tower for the honor and hand size. Embedded Fair to search for an artifact. We're running the Sanctum because you can pay to tap and target legendary creature puts a 1/1 counter, and it also makes a god in districts of types. And then you can pay for tap and sack and put an indestructible counter on target god. So effectively you could try and get your commander to have indestructible. Yeah. And now we get to like the sack lands. Arid Mesa to search for mountain or plains. A Evolving Wilds to sack to search for a like basic land put on the battlefield tapped. The same again for Metamorphic Expanse. And then the last one is a Urza's Saga. So 1, taps for colors, and then 2, you may pay 2, tap, create a construct, and then 3, sack yourself and you can pull an artifact of mana value 1, which is so many. There are so many artifacts of mana value 1 I have in this deck. I've got like I think 5 or 6 targets. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. And then we're running, I think, what, 7 or you 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 plains, and yeah, 7 mountains. Because we do have a lot more white. I do have a lot more white generation than I have red. I've got so many white cards and only like a few red cards, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, that has been my that's been my deck profile for my Annie. I've already forgot how to pronounce the name. Ha. Whoops. It'll go to. I still haven't learned the name after 2 weeks. I just call it Thousandth Moons, pretty much. But yeah. Yeah, if you want to see some more deck profiles or some Let's Discuss it, feel free to hit that button. Well, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell to get notified for when I upload more videos. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. As always, I'll leave a link to the Arca deck in the description that will have every single card in the profile. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.